True leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge, empowering them with the right skills to succeed. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our first session of the Road to Ignite Leadership Talk series, organized by Let's Talk, together in collaboration with IEEE Young Professionals of Sri Lanka. My name is Nishara Fernando, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. Before we move on with today's event proceedings, I would like to call upon Prabhasha, our project vice chair, to deliver the welcome address. Prabhasha, over to you.
Thank you, Nishara. So good evening, everyone. So welcome to the inaugural session of the Road to Ignite Leadership Talk series. Organized by the Let's Talk IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka, we are thrilled to kick off this series with a focus on inspiring and empowering young professionals. Let's Talk is an initiative by the IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka that has been recognized organizing impactful sessions since 2017. It connects industry experts with students and young professionals, focusing on improving soft skills and providing insights into the latest industry trends and fostering growth and networking opportunities. Let's Talk is a key platform for shaping future leaders and enhancing professional development in Sri Lanka. The Road to Ignite series is designed to elevate leadership capabilities of individuals by providing a platform where they can learn directly from industry leaders and CEOs. Through monthly sessions, we aim to dive deep into the personal and professional journeys of these accomplished individuals, exploring the challenges they have faced, the lessons they have learned, and the strategies they have propelled them to forefront of their fields. Our goal is to not only share their success stories, but to provide actionable insights that can help each of you on your own leadership journey. We are honored to have with us today Mr. Migara Amithodana. He is the CEO and the co-founder of MagicBit. He's a chartered engineer by profession with over 10 years of experience in the ICT industry. He obtained his bachelor's degree in electronics engineering from the University of Moratuwa and his MBA from University of Colombo. He has been involved in deep developing award-winning innovative tech products with startup in Sri Lanka, and he is passionate about promoting innovations for the next generation around the world. His journey from a young engineer to a leader in innovation is truly inspiring, and we look forward to hearing his insights on startups and innovation. Furthermore, I would like to welcome the members of the IEEE community that has gathered on this occasion. This session is an opportunity for all of us to learn, engage, and ignite our own leadership potential. Let's make the most of it. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Mr. Migara Amithodana. Thank you and enjoy the session. Over to you, Nishara.
Thank you, Prabhasha. Now let us welcome Mr. Migara. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prabhasha and Nishara. So thank you for inviting me for the session as well. So it's a privilege to be here addressing to you all, I guess, all the IEEE young engineers, because I think we all as engineers have to do a lot of work in terms of becoming the future leaders of our country and the world, plus developing the new innovations and all. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you all. Okay. I hope you can see my slideshow.
Yes.
Okay, right. So I'll cover maybe a little bit about leadership and some of the things I have learned along my journey, and about entrepreneurship, startups, and all that as well, which I have some domain experience. So I will be sharing my story and relating to what I experienced for you all, so you can actually get a better practical viewpoint around this area, rather than me telling me about, let's say, Google, YouTube, and all these foreign case studies, right? So let me try to do that with my story presenting to you. So basically, as you all, I graduated as an engineer around 2013, but I think I was fortunate enough to get a job about 5-6 months before graduation, and then I worked for SLT Mobitel for close to about 10 years, and I got my MBA from University of Colombo. And while actually working for the company, we started this startup called MagicBit, and then I became a full-time entrepreneur in around 2022, and at the beginning of 2022. So I've been a full-time running the startup since then. So we have initiated a couple of successful startups during that period, and we are still going through that journey. And honestly, I think one of the best things about being a professional engineer like you all is uh, we can go for like really good jobs, we can enjoy really good perks, plus I think we can get really good opportunities in the industry as well, which can develop very good experience in us. Honestly, even in my story now, I became an entrepreneur at a later stage. After having the industry experience for like 7-8 years only, I also came to this sector. But honestly, during my tenure as working as an engineer and as a manager, so involving in the middle management in a company and all that, I think we all can get a wealth of experience in the corporate sector as well. If somebody asks me whether it's what is the best thing, whether it's to run a business or to work in the industry, I would say it depends on your preference, because none of these things, so both these things can be really good, honestly, depending on your preference. For example, now when I was working in the, now in our company, right now we have about 15 members. So when I was working in the industry at one point, there was around 80 people reporting to me. So basically, the ability to work with people, manage projects, and also to plan things and to execute things, I think I gained that during my corporate career working as an engineer. So I believe that for everyone working in the industry is a really good way of gaining their leadership skills and all that. Plus, I think one of the best things about working in the industry was I got some foreign exposure as well, going to other countries, seeing how things done and all that. So basically, that was a really good experience. On the other hand, I believe now uh, coming into the startup space, one thing I realized was, so leadership, practicing leadership and building something from the scratch, becoming an entrepreneur is a separate story. And so there's no requirement for someone to get corporate experience and get into this sector. One of the weaknesses I see right now is, now since it's a risky option, I see that most of the young engineers don't see it as a lucrative option. And that is one of the myths I want to break today among you all as well. So if I move forward with the slideshow, so this fundamental question about entrepreneurship, innovation, and startups. This is something we always hear from the society, right? So there are so many debates. What is who's an entrepreneur? Who's a businessman? So basically, an entrepreneur is a person uh, who is creating something new or coming up with a novel idea and gaining a good market share out of that and doing something revolutionary, disruptive, and changing the way we see at a product or a service, right? So basically, now that doesn't mean that any of the normal businesses are bad, right? So basically, now if we take a normal retail business, a barber shop, or maybe a laundry chain. So these are normal businesses which are really good businesses. They can generate a lot of cash. They can be very profitable businesses. So it doesn't mean that other businesses are bad. An entrepreneur is a person who will be coming up with a new product or a service that will disrupt the market, will introduce a change to the equation. On the other hand, now when it comes to entrepreneurship as well, so we can do two things. One thing would be to do inventions and innovations. So inventions are things like discovering the, let's say, light bulb, or maybe creating the first car. So inventions are hard, and it takes a lot of effort and research and all that, but it can be done, but it's hard. On the other hand, innovations are more frequently seen. Innovations are basically an improvement for a product or service which is existing. So innovation is something we all can do. Innovation is something we can quickly win the customers and the market and all that as well. So basically, innovation is required to become an entrepreneur and also to develop a startup. So innovation is something I believe that every engineer should practice. Now, if you consider very carefully, now what I see as a problem in the industry, even in Sri Lanka, is now what we do as if you reconsider what we do as engineers in Sri Lanka is mostly, if you take the software industry out of the equation, in most of the industries, we get down some, let's say, some equipment, we conduct a project here, and we maintain them. So basically, we are implementers and maintainers, but not creators. So I believe that engineers are meant to, now all of you are becoming engineers, or maybe passionate about innovation, or maybe you want to do something new. Maybe you are really love, maybe you really love the technology. So basically, by applying the technology, you should be able to create something new. Now, creating something new also does not mean that everyone has to, let's say, uh, go and do the electronics or hard coding and all that. I believe, in my personal opinion, in engineering also there are like different areas. Like, we need engineers who are really good with analytic skills, who can actually conceptualize products. We need people who can design products. We need people who can build products. We need people who can, let's say, teach others about products. We need people who can sell products. So now all these roles are coming under engineering discipline, in my belief. I think that a common myth in the industry or among the students would be an engineer should be a designer, or maybe the person who is doing the hardcore stuff. No, even actually, now let's say if you think about uh, a really sophisticated, uh, maybe an information system or an electronics system, you definitely need an engineer to sell that, right? Because you will be selling it to a IT savvy person who knows the subject. So you need someone who can speak well, plus who understand the technology as well, right? And so that is where I see that engineers have different hats to wear in this equation when it comes to innovation as well. So coming from entrepreneurship to innovation to startups. So what is a startup? Now I think now one thing we are also trying to do is kind of, we come up with really good ideas, we trying to work them as startups. We try to prove the factor that we can do a startup in Sri Lanka. So startup is basically a business venture which can be grown rapidly during a short period of time, and which is massively scalable. And so you might wonder, what is the difference between a startup and a normal business? Like, let's say if I open a restaurant tomorrow, what is the difference between, can I call a restaurant a startup? So basically, let's say if you want to, now if you open up a restaurant, you might get, let's say, 1,000 to 2,000 customers per month. You will get around, let's say, 5,000 customers. But let's say if you want to increase it to 10,000, now you need 2 locations, right? If you need Again, 50,000, then you need 10, right? If you need 100,000 customers, you need 20. Now imagine opening up 20 restaurants, need a lot of capital and all that. So this expansion needs huge capital and a lot of effort. On the other hand, let's say you have a web platform which onboards 5,000 students. Let's say if you want to expand it to 100,000 students, now what you need is more server space, more computing capacity and all. And suddenly when you do that, you can expand the platform. Let's say overnight, you can do that, right? So because of this massive scalability and the rapid growth is enabled by the ICT field, or very frequently we see software companies are defined as startups. But that does not mean that only software companies can be startups, right? So even some product companies can do that. Even maybe even some different business models can be startups. But it has to show some rapid growth. Let's say during a 4 to 5 years period, it should show some rapid growth, right? But very often we refer to software companies. So we call it software as a service companies as these startups because of the rapid growth we can observe in them with less restrictions for scalability. And I think when you are becoming a leader or when you want to start your own venture, I think it all starts with why. So there's a nice book from Simon Sinek. You can read it. I think it's even available online. If I'm not wrong, you can download a PDF somewhere. I saw somewhere that you can download a PDF. So basically, you have to decide what do you want to do. What are the goals in your life? And why do you basically exist? What is the change that you want to see in the world from your side, right? And maybe doing a job is a good option for someone, right? So let's say even by doing a good job, maybe in the private sector, maybe in the government sector, somebody can do really good service to the society and even make a good living out of it, right? So on the other hand, some people can become entrepreneurs, innovators, creators. So I think that depends on your preference and what you want to become. What is your personality, and what do you want to achieve in life? And so that it all depends on your side. So if you haven't read, I highly encourage you to read this one, and which actually starts to which encourage you to think what is your purpose in life, right? So these are some of the things that you have to, I believe that you have to think early on in your career, in your life. So what is the purpose of my life? Am I a person who's trying to figure out something step by step, or do I have a long term vision where I need to do this thing and I am passionate about this thing, or I have very good energy towards this thing and I really love it, so I'm going to do it, right? So basically, people who tends to do what they love and who are well energized about doing things, I believe they achieve success in life. For example, even becoming a leader, if you think about, let's say, if you speak with some people, they hate their job, right? But they still works on the same place for years, right? So let's say if you are engaged with some work which you don't like for years, imagine the level of satisfaction you will have about your life, right? So basically, in order to avoid that, what you should have been doing is, let's say if you are engaged with the place where you don't like it, you should develop your skills, explore other opportunities in the coming period so you can actually move on with your life with something you like to do, right? So basically, everything is in our control in a way, right? So let's say now, since you all are young, I believe you all have three career paths ahead of you. One would be to, let's say, go in the higher academics or academic studies side or join the academia. And the second thing would be to go to the industry and work in the private or public sector. And the third thing is to become an entrepreneur and start something on your own. All these three paths are really good areas, and we see that leaders or creators are needed in each of these areas. Now, sometimes in a way, becoming an entrepreneur, innovating things, you don't have to do not just in your business. Even when you are working somewhere, let's say if you go and observe in certain government organizations also, you would see, wow, this office is great. There's somebody in this office who's in charge, who has thought about the real people coming here and providing a better service for them, right? So there are people like that everywhere. We call them entrepreneurs, right? So they internally change an organization. Even in the private sector, they conduct practices like Kaizen, and they encourage internal innovations. They reward the employees. So we do these things to encourage innovation even within the organization. Now, when you, let's say, if you are a researcher, what are the new things that you can do and how you can change the world and find impactful things, right? Using the knowledge that you have. So basically, if you consider each of these areas, there are innovations you can do, and there are ways you can really change the world and do impactful thing for the people, right? So it all starts with the why. And there's a really interesting thing I want you all to check. So this is called 16 personalities test. So one of my friends actually sent me this one once. So it's a series of questionnaires. It's a free website. So it provides a series of questionnaires. And so based on these questions, they actually provide you a prediction about your personality. Now, in case if you can't evaluate personally that what sort of qualities, characteristics you have and how you would behave. Now, if you now think about this, we all, now I call this trait where people will not age after about 20 years, right? So let's say when you're 20, you have already decided what are the food that you like the most. Let's say you have decided what is the music you like the most. And even at 40 years, you will still stick to the same, most of them, right? So basically, the taste of people, how they behave, rarely changes over the years. But if they can develop really good traits, that's a good thing. But in order to go for that improvement, it's very important to understand who you are, how you behave, what are the positives and negatives. Do a true self-evaluation about yourself to understand what are your positives and negatives. If you are a person who is always trying to figure out your negatives through others, it is a very painful process. Because if you want to become a really good leader, I guess you should have a good evaluation about your peers, colleagues, friends. And on the other hand, most of all, you should have a really good evaluation about yourself. Let's say, now working in the industry, sometimes I have scolded people, right? And I have scolded people, but uh, thinking more rationally after that, I would realize I should not have scolded that person. Maybe I could have asked him why you did this, and try to make sure that it will never happen from me, right? So then I called this person again and I apologized him. And I asked what really happened. So then I also get enlightened that maybe surprisingly something I haven't considered has been in has caused this issue, right? So that sort of incidents will open up your mind to maybe uh, to lower your temper, right? Now, maybe to think twice before scolding someone. Although now, being engineers, I think from the society, and if you now to tell you honestly, now some of you might be like, let's say, really good in education from your school days, right? So some of you might be the tech geniuses of your class and all, right? So we have, being engineers, I think since you all are engineers, I can tell this. We have this egoistic mindset that we are the best, right? And sometimes engineers, I have seen that they undermine other fields, like let's say marketing, HR, finance. They think that engineering is the best thing out there, right? So honestly, there's nothing like that. If we take the society or a company, so every part of the society actually is required to make the society as the whole thing, right? Similarly, in a company, let's say if the cleaning staff is not doing a proper job, the office will be messy. It's simple as that. So we need everyone to work here in this role, and that is where I believe that we need to understand that dynamic, and it will help you to grow as leaders. And honestly, I highly encourage you all to consider these factors about the future growth in your career when you're going for a job as well. Because I believe that one mistake most of the young engineers are doing is, when you are going for a job, you consider the highest salary. Instead of that, you can consider the place which you can progress quickly in your career into the next positions. I think that is the best place you can go, because I believe that, let's say, I have seen that I again, I believe that all of the people here might be from a technical background, but this might be related to others as well. Honestly, when people from a certain field think that they are the best and they have this ego, and when they work in an industry, let's say they get the highest salary, maybe a person who's joining as an assistant for the HR for a very small salary, 10 years down the line, that person could become the chief HR officer in the company, who is a very highly compensated person, right? So the opportunity is out there in every field. So it's not just one thing like engineering, finance, marketing, HR. So basically, I highly encourage you all to consider about these areas where you can grow, and where you have the most career path, even when you are considering the job as well. And on the other hand, I believe the area that I can highly encourage you would be becoming an entrepreneur. So why I would like to do that is, when you are, some people think that you have to do a job and then to become an entrepreneur. Honestly, it's a hard choice, because when you have settled to a certain lifestyle after a while with your salary and the benefits and all that, especially if you're married and having kids and all that. So it's a very hard decision to become an entrepreneur, and maybe taking a pay cut when you have loans and all that. So basically, when you are young and fresh, and when you have plenty of time to spare, if you can start a business or a startup at that time, if you fail fast, so you can actually learn and build something great, or gather that experience and move on to the next thing, right? So you can do it quickly when you are very young. So basically, on the other hand, when you are very young, you have less barriers to entry as well. As I mentioned, you have less restrictions from your family to economy to personal attachments and all that. So because of that, when you are young, it's very easy to become an entrepreneur, and you can gain a lot out of that. So I highly encourage, everywhere I speak to very young audiences like this, I would like to encourage young people to become entrepreneurs, simply because I believe that it is something that has not been properly valued, right? So when I started this one, now you don't have to be a jack of all trades to do this, right? So in order to become an entrepreneur, uh, now this is another part of leadership, I guess, where you understand your weaknesses. So you team them up. So you can basically team up with similar-minded people whom you trust and have a mutual understanding to create something new. So we call them co-founders of a startup. So in our startup also, Anuruddha Lanka and myself, we are co-founders. So we started MagicBit in 2019, and we actually met at the University of Moratuwa, and we are very good friends for 15 years. Basically, we knew each other very well, more than our wives know us, right? So because we know each other for 15 years, and that help us to develop that mutual understanding, self-respect, and synergy when we are working together. On the other hand, three of us had the skill set to, let's say, come up with an idea, develop something, and to sell it all together. So we three of us had that whole skill set, and that helped us to develop the initial version of the product, improve it, write the code, and develop the product and sell it as well. So I believe that reaching out to others, teaming up with others is a very, very important thing, especially if you want to make a change to become an entrepreneur. Of course, you can do it alone if you have the skill set. But again, if you are doing it alone, you should have the proper skill set to plan it well and outsource it properly and run the plan or execute it properly. Because if you can't execute an idea, any idea which is not executed is worthless. So I know many people say that I had this great idea when I was having a shower and all that. But so I'm not going to tell anyone because somebody might steal my idea, right? So that is the stupidest thing that you can hear, because anybody can come up with an idea, right? Unless you haven't executed it, that idea does not have that idea does have zero value, right? So one of the best things that you can do is, as a leader or becoming an entrepreneur, is speak with others. And I call it as in a way being empathetic as well. I believe that it's very important to have uh, empathy as a leader and as an entrepreneur. So you actually reach out to your customers, you reach out to your team members, you reach out to your friends, colleagues, and ask, do you really have this problem? Hey, I'm trying to solve this problem. Do you really have this problem? If I make a solution for this one, would you like to buy it? And so you basically develop something, understanding people have this pain point, and I have to definitely come up with a solution for this one. So that is real empathy, right? Which is not like, so you don't have to basically fake it. That's what I mean. So even when you're doing a corporate job, now when I was doing a corporate job also, something I took really pride in was, okay, I'm really helping these customers to uh, solve a vital problem in their life. So and if I do a bad job, if my team does a bad job, these customers will face some difficulties. So that is something I always try to convince my teams as well, to be very empathetic towards your customers, towards your stakeholders. Let's say if you are working with contractors, suppliers. Now, if you become future leaders in the industry, you will have to work with all of them. So being empathetic and being nice to people, when you get positions, when you are young, I must tell you, when you are young and you get a really good position. So I was, to tell you honestly, I was around 27, 28 when around 80 people were reporting to me. So it took me maybe 12 months to 24 months to absorb that as well, right? Talking to these people, and with sometimes it could make you egoistic as well, where you want to listen to people and you try to impose your ideas only without listening to others. I have tried that honestly, and I have learned my lesson where a plan. So what we are really good at as young people who are tech savvy and all that is coming up with really good things related to the current present context, understanding people and the world context, and planning them. And in order to execute them, we need other support, maybe team members, maybe customers, maybe different stakeholders. So I think if you are being nice to them, if you are being empathetic with them, it's easy to execute this plan. So it becomes more uh, effective and more, I think, something more useful for others, right? So even in a startup, so not even in a startup, even in a company, so you have to identify these problems and solve them, right? So even in our startup, what we did was we identified this problem where the future skills that are required for the next generation would be creativity, innovation, using digital literacy. So we basically found out through discussing with people, the schools, students, teachers, with everyone, we discussed with them and we found out the problems they are facing with technology innovation. Why can't they learn how to deal with technology and build something new? Why? And that we came up with this idea because now when we talk to a farmer in Sri Lanka, we see that sometimes what they need is basically knowing the exact moisture value in the soil so they can put more water, or to decide whether not to put water after a mild rain, right? So from an electronic standpoint of view, now that is a very easy thing to do, right? You put up a sensor, you basically read the value from your mobile or from a small screen or anything. That's a very easy thing to do, right? But that farmer does not have that idea. On the other hand, being an electronics engineer, I can do that, but I really don't know what is the value you are looking for or where to put the sensor correctly to get an average reading. So I have no idea about agriculture. So I think in order to meet this gap, what we thought was everyone who is going to every sector in the future might have to have some technology related knowledge, how to apply technology to solve problems in different fields. That's how we can fix problems in farming, to fishing, to, let's say, music, to even engineering, medicine, every field. So this is not about creating future engineers. It's about solving problems in the world using technology. And for that, what we came up with is a solution which is kind of a STEM education tool which promotes innovation using technology, which is easy to use, feature rich, affordable, and also making it fun for the kids. Because one thing we found out is most of the tools out there, teachers and parents, everyone is trying to, they see the importance. Now they try to impose something the students don't like. So we try to make it fun for the kids as well. So we make it enjoyable for the kids. What we do is we basically manufacture this sort of a toolkit where they can plug it to a computer, program it, create this sort of different applications. So through these activities, they can learn how to build stuff from their own, right? Let's say creating a small robot to a plant watering system, they will be developing practical applications like tangible applications. Now, in technical terms, what our main product is a development board, this hexagonal shaped thing. So we have a patent for that one. And then we commercialize it from there. So that is what we are doing. And so since our launch, so what we wanted to do was actually something messy like this you see on the left hand side of the screen. We wanted to make it like better and easy and more user friendly and kids friendly. So as of now, we provide services for B2B organizations mainly, like schools, education institutions, and distributors to nonprofit organizations. We help them to launch STEM education courses. We supply MagicBit tools, and we provide customer solutions for them. And but we don't run any programs, like, so we are not a company running courses, right? So we basically develop the tools like the hardware, the software, and the content as a comprehensive solution for STEM education. We develop these toolkits. So that is what we do. And as a company, what we are looking at is this market opportunity of around 130 billion market in the around the world. So I think it's very important to think about when we think about the even the leadership perspective. Think about the global opportunity instead of the local opportunity. I think now one thing you all can consider today after this session would be to search. Now, I guess that all of you might be less than 22, 23 years old, right? So you can check about these youth fellowships out there. So there are plenty of youth fellowship programs around the world which are sponsored by different organizations, right? So you can go and check these fellowships and see what are the criteria they are looking at. And these fellowships are great way to, let's say, to tap into other markets, go, let's say, see some other organizations, discuss them, explore opportunities, and to see the world also, right? And it's free of charge most of the time. You don't have to pay anything, right? They even send their tickets to everything. So now if you check these global opportunities, and if you realize, okay, my profile is not strong enough to apply this and get selected for this one, you can basically check out who has been selected and what is their profile as well, right? You can do a bit of research on that. Then you can see, okay, they are looking for this sort of people. So how can I build my profile for that? That is the question you should be asking by yourself. Let's say now that is one area. Let's say even for a job, now if you have a dream job in your mind, becoming maybe going to this role in this company, check today itself what is the qualification they have advertised in their past advertisements, right? Do it now, maybe 1 to 2 years before you graduate. Try to build that profile within the next 1 to 2 years. If they are looking for like highly tech savvy person in a certain suit, technology suit, build that suit with practical examples, with GitHub examples of your projects, your work that you have been done, not the same projects that everyone put in their CV from their university group projects, right? So one thing I can tell you is now even we interview people for job opportunities, internships in our companies. So one thing I would see commonly is there are many people who are putting the same group projects in the CV, right? So there's no uniqueness in their CV, right? So after checking 3-4 CVs, we know exactly what are the common elements which are going to appear in the next CVs. But everyone is looking at something different. A person who can prove their practical skill, not what is in their degree certificate. So in a world dominated by AI and knowledge has become abundant, where knowledge is within a simple click away, what is very important is a practical know-how and how you can demonstrate that you can have that practical know-how. So if you can do that, I think there are plenty of global opportunities available. For example, now I know some people who have applied for job opportunities in Google from Sri Lanka, got selected there. They send you the tickets. They went to the US to work for Google, right? I know people like that. So basically, the opportunity is global, to tell you honest. On the other hand, even now, maybe going to the academic side, maybe become a youth fellow, doing a change in society, or going to a job, and even to become an entrepreneur. I think you have to, Sri Lanka is a good market which you can develop a product, you can test a product, and you can get customers and get revenue and make a living out of it as well. On the other hand, you can go to the other markets as well. Now, now there are many people who have done it successfully from our generation as well. To tell you, for example, now I hope you all know about Helakuru, the mobile app, right? So Danika is one of my batchmates. So there's another company from one of my other batchmates called 4Axis. So they also have a very successful software, which is one of the highest grossing uh, products in the App Store, right? So that company is called 4Axis, and their product is Drawing Desk. So the opportunity for all these companies is global, and they started it early, so that's why they become massively successful as well. So I invite you all to think about this global opportunity. And on the other hand, I believe in terms of opportunity, even when we were starting back in 2019, we started as a we started this startup as a side project, and we didn't have much of an intention to make money out of it. Then what we did was, now of course when you are developing something, one way you need some money to do that as well, right? Now since we were developing a physical product with some software part, of course we can do the websites and the software and all that, but to let's say to develop the product, we need some cash. So what we did was we applied for certain grants and got some grants for this one. So basically, we applied for this thing called a Spiralation program by ICT, and we got some funds back then, about 1 to 1.5 million LKR for to develop and commercialize it. So we used that money. Then we went for a crowdfunding project. So until this until this project, now we actually put a lot of our effort, our knowledge, our time, and all that. But you can see now, in order to get the grant money, or when we are doing crowdfunding, so basically we are getting other people's money and constantly selling our product as well. So I believe that money is never the problem. So you can always find that when you have a good product or a good team and with dedication, you can do that. And even when we raised an angel investment round from investors, so one thing I realized is, now I have pitched to many investing firms all around the world with our company. Sometimes I have got good response. Sometimes I have got negative response. What I realized is there's no uh, issue in finding investors in the world, to tell you honest. What we are lacking are really good ideas. Even for us, that is the problem. The point is, now one of the frequent answers I got from the venture capital firms out there, from the big and medium scale ones, is we love your idea, we love your business, but we don't see we don't see the possibility how it would become, become 100 million annual recurrent revenue business. So basically, in a global scale, they are looking at businesses which can grow up to the level of 100 million US dollars annual recurrent revenue, which is repeating every year. So that is a level they are thinking. So that bar is very high for us. So what we realized was, okay, we have to aim for this bar if we are going for that. And if we can prove the case for this, that we can hit this bar, definitely money is not the problem. Now, if you look at the larger context in Sri Lanka, our economy and our economic issues and all that. Now, if you look at India, India had about 50 unicorn companies valued over, not revenue, but they are valued over 1 billion US dollars. They have over 50 companies for the last 2 years only, right? So that is a huge number and a huge economic impact. And on the other hand, all these global VC firms, venture capital firms, are coming and investing in India. So they are getting foreign money on that. And most of these companies, 80% of them are actually below 30 years. Very young people are running these companies. So basically, even fixing an economy in a country, people with really bright ideas, young people, tech savvy young people with bright ideas still can do it. Although we tend to complain others to do that job, right? So from our side, we have raised this investment, and then we develop the product as a comprehensive one, and we are trying to go for a rapid growth right now with new launching our products, improving them based on the user feedback, and we export to other countries as well. On the other hand, I believe that not only as founders, but I think that this is a very old picture, so our whole team is not here. So we have about 15 members in our team, and we have about at any given time, we have only about 3-4 interns, so others are full-time members of our team. So we have our board of directors represented by Hasit. I think if you are from the ICT industry, you might know Hasit as a CEO of 99X. So we have Roshan, he's in the USA. So he was the former head of manufacturing for BlackBerry. So apart from that, we have about we have a good team. So I think developing a good team is also very important, and especially for a very small company, we need very highly professional people who can get things done without babysitting, and that is what we are looking for. And I hope we have we have a really good team in doing that. I think on the other hand, to finish off my story and my story on leadership, entrepreneurship, one thing I learned about this journey, one thing I learned through this journey is I have seen many people who wish to go to another country to live or to work or to find better opportunities. I'm not discussing whether it's good or bad. So my point is, even though you go anywhere on earth right now, there are bigger problems in the world, like climate change, greenhouse emissions, to finding better renewable energy, and how we can actually reduce power pollution, these things in the world. So these are like global challenges which will affect you regardless of the place you will live the rest of your life. So I highly encourage you all to think about these areas as well. As young people, if you can come up with solutions for these, it will be great. Now, I know many people put up these slides about sustainability and all for the sake of putting it. But to tell you honestly, there's a greater background story behind these stuff. For example, now we all face the COVID pandemic, right? So it is predicted that during our lifetime, we will face a similar major crisis because of the climate change. Now you can see even during the past few years, the weather patterns are rapidly changing. It has come to a point where we can't predict weather. So because of these things, there are changes happening in the world, and we have passed the point where we can save the earth by planting trees and all doing these silly things. Or maybe even your university can do a small beach cleanup and all that. That is not going to save earth. How we can save earth, in my personal belief, is applying technology innovation to come up with meaningful or effective solutions for these problems. Like, for example, on renewable energy, right? So there are many things which you can be, there are many innovative solutions we still need, and even regarding the climate change. So think about these areas as well, because these things are very relevant regardless of the place you will live on earth during the next few decades. And apart from that, some of the lessons I would like to share with you is start with the why, do things that matter to you, start early, fail if you have to, but learn your lessons and move on, and never give up. So I think it's very important to be consistent about what you do. And also, it's not about you. As I mentioned, you have to be empathetic about others. You have to be friendly with others. You have to be, overall, I think being a good person is not hard, honestly. I guess I'm also trying to be that. So I think it's none of our products, none of our companies, none of our positions are not about us. So I believe that about our products, services, how good they are, how good of a leader we are, others have to decide it, right? So if you look at the definition of the word personality, you can look at this now. You can define yourself any way you want, right? Similar to the profile they read of mine, right? Which I basically emailed them, right? When we start this session, they basically read out my profile, right? But your true profile or your true personality is what others think about you, right? So what is who are you in the eyes of others? So I think your product, services, or even your leadership style is not about you, right? It's about others. And on the other hand, ideas are worthless, execution matters. If you have a bright idea, execute it today itself. And money is never the issue. So there's plenty of money, access to money, but the what we are lacking is good enough ideas and the execution for that. So start small and think big. Think about those global opportunities that I mentioned, and think about being a global leader. Now we can see many global leaders appearing from even from developing countries. And if you think about the opportunity we have, so the South Asian region has almost one third of the global population. So we are living closer to a very very big market right here, and we are representing a very large crowd from the global population. So there's a massive opportunity for all of us. And so I think what we all are working for, and what we are looking for is we are dying to see the next unicorn opportunity coming from Sri Lanka, which is $1 billion value tech company coming from Sri Lanka. I hope you all saw WSO2 was valued 600 million, which came closer to this, but not 1 billion. So I think we all can make this a dream come true one day. And also, you all are living in an era with plenty of opportunities. Let's say if you want to reach out to someone around the world, it's just an email away, or maybe inboxing them on social media, right? So you can basically find anyone's contact nowadays. You can reach out to anyone. You can like send an email and ask for support, reach out. And so I think there are plenty of opportunities we all are missing here. And there have never been an era in the human history, with this much of limitless opportunities. So I all invite you all to learn about these opportunities, develop as leaders, explore these opportunities, and do something great in the future. So that is my message to you all, and that is about my story and some of my leadership lessons to you all. And you can find my name. My name is Migara Amithodana. Since it's quite unique, you can find it very easily on LinkedIn. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn and inbox me if you have epiphany or a very bright idea. I would love to help you. And I would be really happy to hear one day that one of the students who have been in this session created maybe a unicorn company out of Sri Lanka, or maybe became the CEO of a certain multinational company one day. So that is something I would like to hear one day. And if you have any questions, I think we can take another couple of minutes to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Migara, for sharing your invaluable insights with us. Well, as Mr. Migara mentioned as well, we are now opening a Q&A session. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away your questions. If anyone has any doubts to clarify, you all can ask.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yes.
So I have just a small something to ask from you, just not as question. I want to know, as an internship, whether it is good to join a startup company or a reputed company for our internships.
Yeah, I think I think you might have seen this recent debate on paid and unpaid internships and all that. So I believe that it all depends on your uh, it all depends on your requirement. To tell you honestly, when we are hiring someone, now internship is an internship, in my personal opinion, whether it's a reputed company or an unknown company or a startup, right? So the debate is actually between not a startup or a big company. So that is actually basically a company which is known, like WSO to Virtusa to, let's say, a popular bank, or maybe a popular multinational company like Nestle to Unilever, right? So whether it's a known company or an unknown company, right? So that is the problem I think everyone is having. So startup is a small segment here. To tell you honestly, when somebody is going for when we are hiring someone, so now I have been the interview panels of very reputed companies hiring people. I have been interview panels of startups when I am hiring people. So one thing we would consider, we don't simply care about whether they have done an internship in a reputed company or a small company, right? What we really care about is whether this person has the correct practical skill set for the job position that we are looking for in our company. In order to prove that, whether they have worked in a project or an area during their internship, if you have worked towards something related to that area, I think that is the winning point. On the other hand, if you can get your internships in a company which can provide you this opportunity to explore into new areas and grow your technical skills, grow your personal skills, and provide you that opportunity, I think that is the place you should be. Because I think what an internship does is it's getting you ready to become a future professional, right? And the company also has to the company has also a role to play there. On the other hand, individual, you also have to play a big role there. Like you have to make sure that you improve yourself. As I mentioned, thinking about the future path that you would take, you have to build your profile towards that. Now, when you have an idea about the future profile that you want to build, you can have a precise understanding. Okay, am I going to be a research assistant in the university during my internship? Am I going to a FMCG company? Am I going to a tech company? What is the company that I'm looking for? So then you can actually basically try hard to get into an internship in that area. So that is my best recommendation for anyone.
So thank you, sir. And sir, I want to know whether as an internship, as an intern, so being with industry experts, I mean reputed companies, mean to get experiences. I mean they have experience, but as a startup company, they are just a startup company, so they have comparing to other companies, they have less resources like something. So is it, but think about a situation like I'm willing to take the risk as a joining intern as a startup company, but whether it's a good choice or bad choice, I want to learn something from anyone, I'm willing to do that.
No,
So
as I mentioned before, to tell you honestly, now if a rational person is hiring you one day, I mean, a rational person will not care about the place you have worked during your internship, right? So basically, whether you have worked in a startup or a big company or a small company, that doesn't matter. What matters is what you have done there, right? So what you have to worry is, okay, what the exact question you should ask from anyone would be, if I come for the internship in your company, what is the project you would offer me? What are the technologies that I am dealing with? What sort of responsibility will you give me, right? Am I doing a pet project of the boss in this company which will never be executed? Or am I building part of a technology with your tech team which will be actually implemented, where one day I can say, hey, I've been an intern in this company and I helped to build this thing, right? Which you can show to others, right? I think that is what matters. Not that it doesn't matter whether you go for an internship in a big company or a small company. In my personal opinion, if you are going for a startup, go for a startup who are actually building something and who has some let's say people with some professional background with experience who can mentor you and guide you as well, right? Now even when it comes to a startup also, you can't now now as an engineer, I take personally I take it seriously when it comes to hiring interns, because I have supervised many interns over the years, and I take it very seriously, and I believe that, and I have seen situations where people who have no experience or lesser experience or leadership experience are hiring interns, where I believe that they are not skilled enough to mentor someone or guide someone and giving them the proper experience. So those are the things you should look for. What is the assignment I'm getting? Who am I reporting to? Whether I can learn something from them? Am I building something great here? Am I developing myself? These are the factors you are looking for, not actually whether it's a startup company or a big company. You could be going to a startup with these things. You could be going to a big company without these things. You could go to a big company with these factors. You can go to a startup without these factors as well. So all these four combinations are there, right? I hope I made my point clear to you.
Yeah, sure, sir. I got the point. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
And I got another question. How do we work with AI? Because most of the big companies use AI and more efficient. As beginners, how do you overcome that? Okay, I think when it comes to AI, now now since you all are undergraduates, I think you all are perfectly users of ChatGPT, I guess, right? So we all use it, and I think when it comes to AI, now you wouldn't believe, now one of my investors is a PhD holder in AI, and he has got his PhD in the year 2000, right? So I was actually wondering, now when was the year where we can find the earliest PhD holders in AI? But apparently, I found out a person who has done an AI PhD in 1988. That is the year I was born, right? So apparently, this thing has been there for the last 35 years, right? But we got this AI hype during the last 3-4 years only. So my point is, now these technologies are there, and these technologies come to the hype when the technology is liberated and when it becomes more accessible to everyone. Like even to a person without any technical knowledge now can use a tool like ChatGPT and maybe search a cake recipe there, right? Or an omelette recipe, or what is the best food recommendation for an Asian person living in Sri Lanka who likes to eat. So you can basically type like that, right? So what it has done is, I actually found this in an article where the commonly used AI tools nowadays, even with Microsoft, we have this Copilot tool. I think with if you are using AWS cloud and all, they have Q. So basically, there are AI tools everywhere. Now, these AI tools have done one thing very clearly. It has demarcated creators and consumers in the society. For example, if you are a person just using ChatGPT for to find an answer or to do an assignment, you are a consumer. If you are a person who's trying to fine tune a business idea, develop a business proposal, and work out the financial of it, do the competitive analysis, do the risk analysis on your idea, if you are a person developing something new out of the knowledge you can get out of these tools, you are a creator. If you are a person who is creating an automated video generating tool using AI tools out there, which can basically create a YouTube channel for you and publish videos automatically, you are a creator. If you are using AI tools which can automate all your email replies, basically leaving zero unanswered emails in your email inbox, and if you are a person building a social media audience using the AI tools, you are a creator. So it has actually created these creators and consumers. If you are a creator in this AI world, you are a winner. If you are a consumer, you will become a normal person. I think that is the verdict of AI in my personal belief. Okay, another question. As a person from a technical background, computer science, what do you think about learning, getting into finance? Would it help you to do economics, financial engineering degree, someone? Definitely. I think one of the growing areas in the world right now is these multidisciplinary practices, right? So I was graduated around 2013, as I mentioned. So there was a friend of mine who did an economics MSc in a foreign country, and he became one of the youngest vice presidents for this bank, a foreign bank, right? So basically, now if you are coming from a technical background and if you are doing like something like finance or something like economics, that is a perfect combination. And honestly, you are getting into a field which is not stagnated as well. For example, now, let's say if you are going for a technology company, now of course you can go for engineering if you have done computer engineering. But if you count the number of heads in engineering field there, now there are hundreds of people above you in that hierarchy, right? Whereas if you go to an area like corporate planning, there are only about 10 people above you in that hierarchy, right? So basically you have, when you do multidisciplinary work, I guess you open up new paths. On the other hand, you can explore some really good career opportunities if you are very mindful about it. Now, for example, now I have seen people who have become fund managers, not fund managers. Now you can see so these, to tell you honestly, now we all have seen about these like engineers making money, business people making money and all that. Now, these people who are managing funds, who are into investing, who are into financial services, they get one of the best salaries on this planet right now. They get the highest paychecks, right? So they get the highest bonuses, most important, right? So transitioning into that sort of an area, having the analytical skill or the skill set of a technical background actually helps. But I think it has to be, you have to do that very mindfully. You have to well plan. You have to see what are the qualifications they are looking at and fulfill that criteria and go in that path very consciously. That is not something that you have to do very stupidly, where let's say you are an engineer, you try to learn agriculture all of a sudden, or after watching Olympics you become very passionate about becoming a tennis player and try to become a sports person. You can't do that. So you have to do it very consciously and try to figure out how you can make a career out of it. As someone has asked whether doing SEMA helps. Yeah, I think doing SEMA would be a good option. So someone studying technology and also any other field, because I think management, so SEMA is a program related to management accountancy. So I think management accountancy is good, and I think now if you take a look at the companies in Sri Lanka, so we see that there's a tendency where accountants are becoming CEOs of companies very often or very frequently, but not that much engineers, right? So if you see, analyze the tech industry in other companies, or not tech industry, the industries in other companies, most of the CEOs are actually engineers or people from a tech background. So but we can't actually say like that. I am not trying to generalize. I'm just trying to make a point honestly. So the point is now it doesn't matter whether you are an accountant or an engineer or a doctor. You have to have this sort of a balanced knowledge. Now, being an engineer, I think it was a very hard experience for me to, because I have never done commerce in my entire life until I was graduated. So I actually got to know about balance sheets and all that when I was doing the MBA only. So, but honestly, to be a good manager or a good leader, a CEO of a company or a person who's running a company, you need to have an understanding about the cash flows, uh, how to read a P&L, and even as an individual, let's say if you want to invest your money in the stock market, to become an individual investor to gain higher return on the money that you are earning or you are saving, you should be able to read a balance sheet. So it's all about balancing this knowledge. So I think doing SEMA is a good option, but just obtaining the SEMA paper certificate will not do you anything. Actually, it's developing knowledge and the practical know-how. That is the thing that matters, even it comes to management, accountancy, or whatever the field.
Well, I guess that's all the pending questions. So thank you to our audience for asking questions away. And thank you, Mr. Migara, for answering our questions. Now let's take a moment to express our gratitude to Mr. Amithodhana for sharing his expertise with us today. So your insights have truly been invaluable. So I would like to invite Prabhasha to give out a token of our appreciation. Yes, and with that, we have come towards the end of our event. I would like to invite all our participants to fill out the feedback form provided in Zoom chat. Your suggestions are greatly appreciated for us to improve our event.